Before I actually get started with this video, I hope that my people who watch my videos and my content are safe down there in Nashville, Tennessee, as of course yesterday there was a horrible mass shooting that occurred that claimed the lives of several people down there in Nashville, Tennessee. And you know me, I don't like to speak on something like this when it comes to a mass shooter until I get a name and an identity. And it came in a good amount of time. I mean, eventually they were going to have to say it, but I think what shocked people the most when it came to this situation right here was that this wasn't the usual suspect. But what is going to shock many of you is this is not the usual suspect. This is like a double whammy right here. So in this picture, you see someone by the name of Audrey Hale. This is the individual that was responsible for the mass shooting that happened at Nashville Covenant School. I guess you could say mass killing because there were kids that did die, and I believe that the shooter is now deceased as well. But I believe 7 people in total were shot and 3 are deceased. But of course, you know, when it comes to stories like this, I always like to go to heavy.com because they have pretty much the whole rundown on everything that we need to know when it comes to topics such as these. Audrey Hale was the 28-year-old accused of fatally shooting 3 students and 3 adult staff members at the Covenant School in Nashville, Tennessee on March 27, 2023, NBC News reports. The suspect, a Nashville resident who once attended the private Christian school, is also dead, police said. The victims were rushed to a local hospital where they were pronounced dead, according to officials. A total of 7 people, including the shooter, were killed at the school, police said. The victims have not been identified and their ages were not released. Police said they were searching a home connected to Hale in the Nashville area. Update: 3 students and 3 adult staff members from Covenant School were fatally shot by the active shooter, who has now been identified as a 28-year-old Nashville woman. I'm putting that in quotations. Some of y'all by now probably know exactly what I'm heading to when it comes to this, but I'm gonna let it be a slow burn till we get to that point. Nashville Police Chief John Drake said in a news conference the suspect is a white female who lives in the Nashville area and was a former student at the school. She entered a side door of the school around 10 a.m., police said. The Metro Nashville Police Department tweeted at 11 a.m. an active shooter event has taken place at Covenant School, Covenant Presbyterian Church on Burton Hills Drive. The shooter was engaged by MNPD and is dead. Student reunification with parents is at Woodmont Baptist Church, 2100 Woodmont Boulevard. The active shooter call came at 10:13 a.m., police said at a press conference. An officer was cut by glass, but no other injuries, including other gunshot victims, were reported, police said. According to its website, the Covenant School is a private Presbyterian Christian school for students from preschool to 6th grade. The school's website quotes head of school Dr. Catherine Kuntz as saying, "At the Covenant School, we are about more than simply educating our students. We are participating in the miracle of their development and seeing them transform into who they will be." That's a very interesting choice of words when you find out about this person. Impactful teaching methods in programs, daily all-school chapel, and school-wide service learning are the backdrop for the real work, helping children become who God intends them to be. The school's motto is shepherding hearts, empowering minds, celebrating childhood. According to the Federal Bureau of Investigation in 2021, the FBI designated 61 shootings as active shooter incidents. In these incidents, 103 people were killed and 140 wounded, excluding the shooters. For the period of 2017 to 2021, active shooter incident data reveals an upward trend. Only one of those shooters was a female, showing how rare the Nashville shooting is. Only 3.8% of active shooters were women in another FBI study of incidents from 2000 to 2013. Now we're about to head into the 5 facts. The first one says, the shooter was killed by police responding to an active shooter call at the Covenant School on the 2nd floor of the school, officials said. 2 officers confronted the shooter on the 2nd floor of the school. Nashville police tweeted. Police said she went to the 2nd floor and opened fire. There was no school resource officer on site at the school, but the school did have an active shooter protocol. Nashville police tweeted 2 MNPD officers who entered the building and went to the sounds of gunfire, engaged the shooter on the 2nd floor and fatally shot her. The shooting suspect was engaged by police. Officers responding to an active shooting call at the Covenant School, and she was shot and killed, according to a Tennessean. The newspaper wrote at the scene, scores of parents and onlookers gathered in a parking lot awaiting updates as helicopters circled the area, surrounded by a residential and busy business district. Nashville police spokesperson Don Aaron said at a noon press conference at 10:13 this morning, the police department received the call of an active shooter inside Covenant School, Covenant Presbyterian Church. The police department response was swift. Officers entered the first story of the school, began clearing it. They heard shots coming from the second level. They immediately went to the gunfire. When the officers got to the second level, they saw a shooter, a female, who was firing. The officers engaged her. She was finally shot by responding police officers. Aaron added, there was a 5-member team that was on the second floor at the time. 2 members from that 5-member team opened fire on the shooter. We know at this point that the shooter is a female. She appears to be in her teens. He said by 10:27, the shooter was deceased. The officers had engaged the shooter by 10:27, and she was deceased. Again, I said the first call came in at 10:13 this morning. The Nashville Fire Department tweeted, we are responding to an active aggressor at 33 Burton Hills Boulevard Covenant School. We can confirm we have multiple patients. Parents coming to the school should go to 20 Burton Hills at this time. This is an active scene. 5 of the 6 victims were taken to the Vanderbilt University Medical Center, according to WSMV. The 6th victim was pronounced dead at the scene, police said. The shooter was also pronounced dead at the school, according to police. The second point reads, a motive for the shooting has not yet been released. Police have not released any information about a possible motive for the shooting. According to police, there is surveillance video from the school that shows part of the incident, and investigators were reviewing that footage to try to learn exactly how all of this happened. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation is assisting in the investigation, the TBI tweeted. At the request of District Attorney General Glenn Funk, TBI special agents and additional personnel are responding to the scene of this morning's school shooting in Green Hills, as indicated by NPD Nashville. There is no current threat to public safety. The Federal Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives added on Twitter, special agents from the Nashville field office are responding to assist the Metropolitan Nashville Police Department with an active shooter incident that has occurred at the Covenant School. For further details, follow at MNPD Nashville. Parent Avery Merrick told WSMV-TV that her daughter said she was hunkered down in a room and there was shooting all around the school. The police chief said he had hoped if there was ever such an active shooter situation, we would not wait. We would immediately go in and we would immediately engage the person perpetrating this horrible crime. When I read that, I keep thinking about they don't want a repeat of what happened with Uvalde last year. The third point reads, the suspect was armed with 2 assault-style rifles and a handgun. Aaron, the police spokesman, said the suspect's identity was not immediately confirmed at the scene. She did not have identification on her, and police had to investigate to confirm her identity. He said she was armed with at least 2 assault-type rifles and a handgun. Aaron did not provide any other information about the weapons other than saying she had 2 rifles and a pistol. He did not say if the guns were purchased legally or how the suspect obtained them. The suspect entered the school through a side entrance and transversed her way from the first floor to the second floor, firing multiple shots. We now know that there are 3 students who were fatally wounded as well as 3 adults inside the school, according to Aaron. An officer had a wound from cut glass. That is the only other injury that I'm aware of. Aaron said that there were not any armed officers or security at the school. This is a church that operates a private school, Aaron told reporters. There was no Metro Police personnel. He said the shooting happened in an upper level of the school in an area he described as kind of a lobby type area. It was not in a classroom per se. The fourth point reads, Tennessee Governor Bill Lee said he is closely monitoring the tragic situation at Covenant. Tennessee Governor Bill Lee, a Republican, tweeted, I'm closely monitoring the tragic situation at Covenant, and the Tennessee Department of Safety and Tennessee Highway Patrol are assisting local law enforcement and first responders at the scene. As we continue to respond, please join us in praying for the school, congregation, and Nashville community. Republican U.S. Senator Marsha Blackburn tweeted, Chuck and I are heartbroken to hear about the shooting at Covenant School in Nashville. My office is in contact with federal, state, and local officials, and we stand ready to assist. Thank you to the first responders working on site. Please join us in prayer for those affected. Fellow GOP U.S. Senator Bill Hagerty added on Twitter, devastated and heartbroken about the tragic news at Covenant School. I'm grateful to law enforcement and first responders for their heroic actions. I am monitoring the situation closely, and my office is in contact with local officials and available to anyone needing assistance. I was literally moved to tears to see this as the kids were being ushered out of the building, Drake said in the news conference. And the last point reads, the Covenant School was founded in 2001 and has an enrollment of about 200 students on its list. I'm not even going to read that part, but it's one part in here that they left out that I wish they would have had in here about this Audrey Hale person. This Audrey Hale person identified as trans. As you can see it right here on another website, it says, is Audrey Hale a transgender? Covenant School Nashville shooting suspect allegedly identifies as he, him on LinkedIn. Sorry about that. I had a call coming in. But yeah, I thought that was very interesting. It says right here, several Twitter users immediately pointed out that 28-year-old Nashville shooter is a biological female who identifies as he, him on their LinkedIn. So this is a person that was born a female and they were currently transitioning into a man. So they were trying to become a trans man. So that's very interesting. And it's crazy too, because when I was watching a live stream that Kid Gravity was doing yesterday, Blacklight Revelations, that pointed out that the person was in Hall T. And then when he was going through the Twitter, I had noticed on the side near the where the trending topic was, it literally said hashtag trans terrorism. So I wanted to see if this was actually true. And it turns out that it most definitely is. That's why I said those was an interesting words that they used in the previous article I mentioned when they were saying transform. Of course, they weren't talking about this, but I said that's an interesting choice of words considering who this person actually is. I don't think I've ever heard of a mass shooter or a mass killer who fell into that category in Hall T. And moreover, it's very rare that a woman is the one who carries out these type of attacks. So yeah, this is very interesting to say the least. It says right here, the female Nashville shooter identifies as a man, so shouldn't we just blame white men again? Oh God, look, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Of course, she would find a way to bring something like that up, in the time of a tragedy. Leave it to her. But yeah, this is very interesting right here. It's not something that you was expecting to hear. Of course, the mass shooting and everything like that, that's always a tragedy. But the details of it as far as surrounding who the shooter is, that's even more interesting.